This is excuse. Wake up, build your thing.
But we are building. But Chris, it's harder for me as a black woman. Like if
so what?
Trying,
work 10 times harder.
But it's annoying. Don't you think? Like
so what? You want it to be handed to you for free.
That's what we are doing.
You want it handed to you for free.
100 times harder.
Yeah, you have to work a billion times harder because the other guy has government backing. He has cheap loans, but you don't. Life is just like that. Don't look for the easy route.
Karibu Startup Review. We have a new set. This is sponsored by Honeypod, which is a location to shoot your content, serving alcoholic-free beverages, and yeah, just good vibes. Today we are talking about AI, Web3, crypto, blockchain, all these things that are very buzzwords at the moment. And I remember I was having dinner with my friend a couple of weeks ago, and they're like, I lost money in cryptocurrency. I think she put like a lot of money to invest, and she just lost it, and was asking me, is it a scam? What is it? But I'm not an expert in it, okay? I kind of just go in and trade once in a while, make money, but I wouldn't say I'm like very like invested in it. So yeah, but that's what we're discussing today. So is cryptocurrency a scam?
It's not a scam. It's not a scam. A scam is when you say you'll do A. It's like, for example, you go online, order whatever, piece of furniture, and then it's never delivered. That's a scam, right? Crypto, but anything can be a currency. Even before we had whatever currency we had today, we were using cowrie shells. So it's just a type of currency.
Okay.
Right? But now the hallmark of it was that it's not regulated by anyone.
Yeah.
So no one can come in and say, hey, this is what the value would be. Current currencies almost all over the world is what is known as a fiat currency. The government decides how much value that currency is by either printing more money, increasing or reducing interest rates. Previously, we used to have the gold standard where your money was worth a certain amount of gold. Now, crypto, since it's another type of currency, the government won't decide how much value. So the government cannot inflate, deflate the currency. So now when you're in this unregulated space, if I may call it so, it means you're open to anything else.
Yeah.
So the currency itself is okay. The problem comes from when the currency wants to be traded.
Yeah.
Now you have exchanged your dollars or shillings
to
crypto.
Yeah.
Then now they trade the crypto, either hold it and sell it later on. And that's where the whole scam. So the first example of a scam is Sam Bankman-Fried.
Oh yeah, FTX.
FTX. So you deposit your money with him. He's supposed to give you currency, which is it's called F something coins. He had coins generated for himself. So the first thing was that he took depositors' money and went and did other investments or riskier trades without the consent. And the agreement was that my money should never be used for anything else.
Yeah.
Right? In the banking world, when you deposit your money to a certain bank, there are certain regulatory things that has to be in place so that to ensure that even if loans are defaulted, if there's a bank run, you still get your money back.
In peace.
Now, in crypto, if there is a run, there's nothing you're able to do about it. FTX is not required to hold certain liquidity ratios so that you can cash out for that. So that trading bit is the scam.
Okay.
Where actually you're scamming people on dollars. You're not scamming them on crypto because you're running away with their
dollars.
Yeah. So what happened is just the crypto value went down. And nowadays there are thousands of coins.
Yeah, there's so many
out there. So
let me ask you, for people who are watching this, if they were to be offered, I'll pay you your salary in some form of crypto.
Would I?
Would you? What advice would you give?
No. No.
If you have enough knowledge about it, then pick a stable coin that you expect there's going to be some change in the future. When its value goes up, maybe 2x's, 10x's, then you can cash that out. If you have no knowledge of the space, just be paid with what you're used to being paid with.
Okay. Or even like when your grandmother tells you, oh, yeah, I have this money I want to invest in cryptocurrency. So hell no.
So if you ask to be paid in bonga points, do you agree?
You can. The problem with bonga points is it has a limited area of renewal and you can't cash out.
Yeah.
But
At least with crypto, you can cash out.
it's
It's a digital currency.
It's limited to what you can use. Yeah.
Currency.
Yeah, yeah.
And there was a currency called Bangla.
I'm not out of Bangladesh.
So there is a slum in Mombasa known as Bangladesh.
Okay.
So most of the people there are extremely poor and they don't have enough money to buy whatever they need. So what they did, they produced their own currency, called it Bangla, and you had to have lived there. There's some conditions to that. So what happens is and that money circulates within their small community. So when you work for me, I'll pay you with the Bangla Pesa instead of paying you with Kenya
So it was
shillings.
actually a printed currency.
It's actually a printed currency.
Oh, nice.
So that whatever Kenya shillings you have, you can reserve it for other things like paying school fees
Yeah.
and other things. But anything you need, like for example,
within the community,
this is their means of exchanging their services until CBK shut it down because they'd say like it's a competing currency to the Kenya shillings.
They should have just said they're crypto.
No, crypto means that it's generated from mining or solving a mathematical problem.
Yeah.
That's what a cryptocurrency is.
That's the uniqueness it has against
that's
the
the
digital
uniqueness.
currencies. That
And one of the things is,
encryption.
from a math, if you produce too much of a currency,
Yeah.
it becomes valueless, right? If you produce too little, its value increases, but also it makes it very hard to exchange services. So there has to be an optimal amount of currency available to exchange goods and services. So because mining or solving those mathematical problems are hard, it regulates how much of that currency gets produced. In Bangla, they started this and looked at how much do they have, how much labor exists within a certain community, community, and produced enough of those. Because otherwise, if someone came and forged their Bangla and they had too much, one person can hold it and say like, okay, everyone in the village now will be working.
Therefore, me, I'm the king.
I'm the king. Oh. So
but I would wonder, like, the question is, would you want to, at some point, to trade in crypto, yeah? So, I mean, right now, it's not regulated by governments, by a regulator, but by the system itself. So, and, you know, we are saying that people are being scanned by this, by that type of, by certain people who are producing certain coins, yeah? So would you say the only way we can actually have, you know, crypto working is by regulating it? By introducing some form of regulation.
That defeats the purpose, right?
It would defeat the purpose, but...
Now, the same people who are championing that decentralized, that's people going to the government back and say like, hey,
exactly.
Regulators,
exactly.
you don't want to be scammed.
Yeah.
For example, what's a very good example here? Yeah, so history. When US was a colony of Britain, so Britain means that, okay, we will take taxes from you, we'll be your kings and gods, but we'll also protect you from like France or Spain wanting to
what
invade
France is
you.
still doing right now in some African countries.
Invade you. So Britain acted as a protector for the US while it was a colony, so that it's not encroached by other people. When they fought the Revolutionary War and they kicked out the British people, they're like, okay, fine, now when France invades you or Spain, don't come to us.
Deuces, yeah.
Say the same thing like, hey, you guys want to have your own currency thing. Okay, when you get scammed,
Don't look for us.
don't come to us. But if we come in, then we have to put in some prudential measures.
Yeah.
We have to know certain things, who's owning this. For example, there are some crypto wallets I think, that were inaccessible because only Sam Bankman-Fried had the passwords
Oh,
to
wow.
those crypto wallets. So in a typical banking scenario, that would never happen.
It shouldn't.
They were like, no,
You know,
there has to be
business
like,
continuity.
there has to be like
whatever.
5 people who have
Yeah.
access to it, and password has to be changed every month, so on, things and so forth. So if you invite the government in, then also know that government can also curtail.
Well, you could choose not to invite the government, but then borrow safeguards.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then
Like
more
have some
safeguards.
guidelines
Because
of some
you see,
sort.
But the government does not come in just necessarily for the rules, it's also for the enforcement.
Yeah.
So that if you
In case of any
thing,
yeah.
then they'll send the police in.
They
So
have
who
a
will
way.
police crypto?
Crypto is self-policing, self-regulating. You see, the most anonymous form of currency that exists in the world is cash. Right now, if you give me 100 shilling note from your pocket, can I trace its entire journey till my hand? I can't.
No.
With crypto, you have that legend you can see. So there's that visibility. Then if you introduce the controls,
But remember,
you actually make
the
it
crypto itself
safer.
has no problem as a currency.
Yeah.
The crypto
Yeah.
itself has no problem because you can track all transactions, you can check. So that's okay.
Yeah.
The problem is when you're converting crypto to dollars, or
yes.
shillings,
To
right?
Yeah.
That's where the scam
And you
comes in.
introduce other players.
Yeah, they trade in because you see, like Bitcoin, I think only 26 or 42 million
Yeah.
Bitcoins can only be mined. I don't remember the exact number. But then now when you started trading, because I remember the first time I mined a Bitcoin, it was worth nothing.
Yeah.
Then
So, no,
at some
actually,
point it was worth 2 million.
Someone,
All of a sudden,
those are
it's worth
very
only a few
interesting.
hundred
Who says
thousand.
Nassim Taleb was like, all these people claiming that, crypto is the new currency, it's the new thing. Say, crypto is valuated by dollar. You give the dollar value of crypto.
That's so true.
So you still need the dollar to
Yeah.
give crypto value. So if you ask what's the value of crypto, you could say it's worth 10 buses. Or,
Yeah.
But right now, so it's
It's
being,
still linked to the
it's still linked to the dollar. So it's not
Yeah.
actually a currency itself. So right now, it's an asset. The way you can buy gold, you
Yeah.
can buy silver, you can buy an expensive
No,
watch.
okay, do you think that's inherently the problem? All these cryptocurrencies were built as currencies and were built as non-fiat currencies. They were not backed by anything. Immediately they became assets to be traded, and majority of these cryptos are now being traded. They're not being actually used in the exchange of goods and services.
Yeah.
Turning them into assets is what's failing them as cryptocurrencies.
I agree.
Very good example. There was a startup that set up a trading for bonga points.
It's
Oh,
interesting.
really?
Yeah, there's a Kenyan startup that did that. So you could go and exchange your bonga points
For cash.
for cash, and then so they turned bonga points into an asset.
Oh, cool.
Because I don't know about nowadays, but you could get a laptop from Safaricom shop with bonga points.
Yeah,
you
I
could
think
get
it's
a phone.
the same. Yeah.
All services available. And as Safaricom grows, it means the amount of things you're able to access with
It's
bonga points
also gross.
it also grows, right?
Yeah.
And I think government put a brakes
Yeah.
to it because they're like, okay, we're entering an uncharted territory.
Yeah.
We're
they were
trading
like-
bonga points,
Yeah.
and they stopped it. That's where crypto should have been stopped. It should have been a currency and not converted into a tradable asset.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess like if someone was to ask, because I sometimes, I don't know, when you're in tech and people know you're in tech, they come and ask you random questions. They're like, I have no context around like crypto. Like, should I invest in crypto? Should I, like, what's your answer? Because you guys have talked a lot, but it's also very, you've mansplained it. Very technical. All I need to know is like,
Okay, there's a very basic
let's go back to
tenets
like,
of trading
basics.
used to by Warren Buffett. I don't.
But you know,
trade.
this guy said this FTX guy would be the next Warren Buffett. So I don't know about you.
That's Forbes and their thing.
Forbes is a lie.
And their own scams as well.
Elizabeth Holmes was the next.
The next Steve Jobs.
Even Kylie,
Okay, you are
Kylie
saying-
Jenner.
He has this very basic simple. Don't invest in something you don't understand.
Yeah, okay.
This is basic. If you're offered crypto as an investment chance, either go do research about it
Yeah.
or get someone who knows about it to advise you on it. If you feel like you're still very uncomfortable, don't invest.
Don't invest. But I think that's also part of the problem. You like FTX, it was like, what are they? They were a trading platform, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were trading crypto trading.
Like
platform.
they're getting a lot of clout. They're being put on Forbes. Like legit, you're like, okay, that's where sometimes I'm like, even like, and then you see influencers are pushing it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
they were-
it's
they were-
very
It's a
confusing.
business.
Like,
It's a
it's like,
business,
oh, you
yeah.
see guys on in
but
Dubai
marketing-
living their best
You
life
see,
from like,
Binance was the largest trader.
yeah.
FTX was number 2. So you see, you also get that you feel like trust. You're like,
Yeah. Then
If-
to find out you're a scam, it's like that's
I'll
why I
give you
kind
a
of
very good example.
yeah.
First of all, also smart people get scammed once in a while.
Always, yeah.
There's what is his name? Kevin O'Leary, the Shark Tank.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He was also he lost
FTX,
money,
yeah.
a lot of money in FTX. Right?
Yeah.
So when he was being interviewed about, why did he invest? Did he do due diligence? It's like he saw other big companies
Exactly.
go in.
So you're just
and
like,
it's
duh.
they must have done their
Yeah,
homework.
but so we are going in, yeah.
I don't want to be too late in this hot
Yeah.
Yeah.
thing. So this is being fooled by
Hot air, man.
Like
awesomeness
oh,
or
and influence and
vibes.
social media and
Yeah.
like people just putting up a show and just like yeah.
And the FOMO is so great. Like
and it's like this. And I think like crypto sells this get rich fast.
Yeah.
Yes.
does.
That people are like really attracted to.
If you look at the history of scamming, very good example is Charles Ponzi,
Yeah.
who lent
The
his
Ponzi
name
scheme.
to
Yeah.
Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
He is like, you know what? Give me your money, I'll double it within 3 months and give it to you.
Yeah.
People are like, okay,
Okay.
all right. So he started using deposits as money to repay other people.
Yeah.
And then when he was grilled, he said like, It was based around postage stamps. That postage stamps are cheaper in Europe, but if I bring them here, I can get them for higher money. That's how I'm making this money, which was not correct. So finally, when his bubble was busted, it was like the first phases of it. People didn't want to lose out. It was driven by newspaper. I used to get newspaper guys, radio people to talk about him and talk about his he set a company called SEC. So when the vibes became too big, people don't do due diligence.
It's just like, we're just...
You're going to meet... It's like, hey, man, the plot's
But I think
in Nanyuki.
that's what I think is the vibe right now, especially in Africa. When you think of cryptocurrency, you'll see influencers pushing this, like, and you're like, first of all, do you know anything do you know what you're selling, what product you're selling? And to me, that's why I always like, if there's hype to something,
you have to
like
really
think twice, thrice, 4 times, do deep
But don't you think
another analogy?
But don't you think that's also, capitalism at its finest, marketing and all that?
Yeah.
I mean, you see people selling whatever, I don't know, Omo or like whatever, toss or something, and you put, the best Kenyan band over there, okay, I'm just saying, for example, maybe Sauti Sol. You see Sauti Sol, you're like, okay, for sure, if Sauti Sol is using this, I'm going to buy it. So it's just like a cloud thing, marketing thing.
Maybe they use sunlight.
And the first time I actually ever interacted with like crypto in Kenya, there's some guy, I don't know, I'd gone to like an event. Then it was like an event where they're talking about cryptos and, like new things in the market,
Was it cryptos for ladies? Just curious.
No. It was just like, it was the
olden
olden
days
days.
as well, like very target. You're like, wow.
You're like, you're trying to take advantage of the women. But now, these guys were they actually had a Ponzi scheme or whatever, the pyramid schemes, They're like, once you get into my group and then you bring other people, you'll have this, secured a number of whatever assets that you'll get out of this. So it was basically, a pyramid scheme. They're selling crypto through a pyramid scheme. And I was like, okay, that's a red flag out there. So
interesting.
It's interesting.
I recommend a book. It's called Extraordinary Delusion and Madness of Crowds.
Crowds.
Extraordinary delusions.
That's too much for Kikuyu. Okay. Extraordinary delusions
and madness
of crowds.
Of crowds.
Yeah.
By Charles Mackay. It's a book written about 300 years ago. As a journalist went and pieced together scenarios where crowds went frenzy. Like if the Mississippi scheme where people were told like, there's land in Mississippi, you can buy it and invest in these companies, so on and so forth. And it is a short stories about different things. And he says generally, crowds are stupid.
That's so true. Yeah.
And it's like, who's the writer who wrote that? Madness is rare in individuals, but it's the norm in crowds.
Yeah.
So one tenet is that anywhere that has crowds, pull out. That's like a philosophy to live with, because
deep
crowds will always make bad decisions. Right? A small decision made by experts is better than a decision made by everyone. Well, that doesn't apply to democracy and other
I was
things.
about to throw that there. I was like, yes.
Democracy is a different issue, but as an investment, and I remember I was reading Nassim Taleb tweets, and it was like, this is the best time to short crypto. Anytime crowds go in, you know very well this asset is about to go down. Second, about marketing and advertisement. He has this very nice analogy that he gave. That,
who's still Nassim Taleb?
That back in the day, especially in France, spices were used as a way of covering the odor of bad food. So for that, so if it comes like a food is overspiced and everything, and I like it, something is wrong.
Something is off.
So when you see something is over advertised, has to tell you there's some base wrong with it. Just like anyone who overdoes like perhaps makeup or dressing, there has to be a fundamental problem.
Not necessarily. But
I feel like you just started a very hot topic. I wanted to say something,
but that's true. Anything that is overdone,
hyped,
there has to be some fundamental problems with it. So if you don't want to get scammed, don't go where crowds are. Don't go where you have covered over niceness to it.
Over niceness.
Just
keep it like a bit raw. And
just like Saiton.
Saiton. You had to bring Saiton in. What happened to that guy? I used to see him post a lot on LinkedIn.
Dandy.
Yeah, he's quiet.
He's still there.
Posting,
I saw his tweet yesterday.
Oh, what's he tweeting?
He's focusing on mental health. And
what about the mental health of the people he scammed?
Saiton wasn't a scam.
What was it?
It was an investment set not correct. It's a liquidity problem.
Okay.
So he can't be prosecuted because he didn't steal anyone's money.
He didn't steal
He didn't
anyone.
direct any
You
money.
guys signed the contract.
I mean, again, it's back to.
It's a risk. An investment is a
It's
risk.
like if you
And
don't do your enough
Your due
background
diligence,
research.
Yeah,
and-
so actually,
but again, it was something that there was a lot of hype being thrown into.
Of course there was.
So much.
Yeah.
Much.
Yeah, that's one. Like every time, although his was not a scam, but there was a weakness in the how the liquidity was planned out. The idea was to sell these houses and pay you back, but now he can't sell all
can't
those sell
sell,
those
yeah.
houses,
Because of
and
the
some of those
economy.
houses are halfway built.
Yeah.
So he needs more money to finish,
To
those
finish
houses,
those houses.
and then sell them and then pay you
Yeah.
back. So he got in a liquidity crunch, and remember he had decided not to go to the banks. So don't come to us now for banks to bail you.
Yeah, because you
out.
didn't come to
Yeah.
us at the start.
And I think he couldn't secure investors to pay for that cash. So now you have unfinished houses and hungry people, annoyed people who want their money back. So that's the essence. Don't go for overhyped stuff.
Anyway, moving on to another buzzword that I often wonder. Web3.
Who wants to define it? Michael.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah.
What's Web3?
The technologies which are layered against either, I don't call it blockchain, so I'll call them DLTs, distributed ledger technologies. So basically the whole concept is to, and I don't use decentralized because decentralized is small, I'd say to ensure that there is distributed ownership of everything.
Okay.
So if give context, we have centralized systems where you have your server and then you have your people connecting to that server to get information. Then you have decentralized where you have, let's say, 6 servers and then there are 1,000 people connecting. But then with a distributed ledger system, you have multiple, as in everyone on the node owns a copy of the ledger.
Okay.
Yeah. So now that builds, then the applications you build on top
I have
of
an
that.
issue with this distributed system.
But you guys, man, explain to me like you explain to a
Okay.
5-year-old.
Let's
Just
tell me like
tell me like this, so like, blah, blah, blah,
Even,
blah.
Okay.
even with my hand signals, it makes
Yeah,
sense.
I didn't get it.
Let's
I wanna get it.
Okay, so think
Yeah.
about it here. You have your parents. Every
Like,
time
okay.
in high school, if you needed pocket money, you'd go to your parents.
Yeah.
And they'd give it to you. When they don't have money, you have to stay hungry,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But now think about if you're in the village, you could go and borrow and ask anyone for money. Then anyone can give you
Money.
So in first case, it's central. It's only your mother who can give you the money.
Yeah,
In the other case,
Anybody
anyone
can give you money.
That's distributed.
yeah. Okay. And where does the Web3 come into this?
So
Web3 are
what
the
manages?
applications are the applications you build on
Oh,
this
to manage the
So,
people
for
who are giving
example-
people money. Okay, gotcha.
For example, you decide you want to democratize ads. You want everybody to be paid for ads, everybody to be paid for data,
Or their tweets or whatever.
or their tweets or
Can do so
whatever.
many.
So you end up building new applications, new browsers. You're told, don't use Spotify, use this. Don't use Chrome or Safari, use Brave. Don't use this
I love
application.
Brave. I use Brave. I didn't even know it's Web3. I just like it's no ads. That's what I like about it.
So the whole Web3 is just
Not
yeah,
yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Everything will have an ad one day.
No, Brave doesn't have ads.
For now.
For now.
Oh, now you
Have-
remember
have you-
the
Until investors
Black
ask
Mirror
for a-
episode, yeah? You remember
Exactly. A lot
Black
of
Mirror.
if you look at how people wrote books trying to look at the future, ads existed a long time ago, even before they became popular. George Orwell's A Brave New World and 1984 by the other guy. All of them, or is it the other way around, George Orwell? Okay. A Brave New World and 1984 all talk about this faraway future where there's a lot of science and medicine. One common theme, ads. Even if you look at something like Black Carbon, huge on ads. A lot of sci-fi movies you see, ads. Ads are something which people feel don't go away, and I think this is just because people wrote about it in history doesn't mean it's going to be there, but it's a strong case for it to be there because we are good at repeating history.
We're good at repeating history.
I have a problem with this decentralized
Mhm.
thing. So, for a crypto example, let's say when the system is decentralized, then it moves the power from the government to control the currency. That's, the few very basic arguments is when you want to verify a crypto transactions. So there'll be like, let's say 6 people somewhere that it has to go to those 6 people, and then they say this transaction is legit,
Yeah.
legit, then it becomes legit.
Yeah.
Now, you need people running servers to do that.
Yeah.
And you need cheap electricity. So the country which has cheap electricity and cheap computers will be the new king. So you've moved the power from a central government to whoever can produce the cheapest
Yeah.
power.
But that's only with proof of stake. Because you see, proof of stake is those who have, for example, the most people with the most tokens get to decide what gets written.
Yeah,
into
then
that.
you just moved power
But
from one person to
But
another.
proof of work, though, is harder and has more electricity. Maybe you can say climate issues because of whatever.
And
how
guess
you're
which
running
country
things.
has cheap electricity and produces very cheap computers?
China.
Yeah, so you just move.
China has
even
about
China.
40% of the nodes if they've not already
so
gone high.
you've debunked US dollars run by US government,
Yeah.
and now you want China to be.
But you see, if you change the mathematical formula, because proof of stake just says if you have a lot of it, you get to decide, which is a faster way of computation.
Yeah.
But then proof of work is a longer way, but it's a safer way.
but
so
either
for
way-
things which are not like for assets which
Either way,
are not, you don't really need.
either way,
Yeah.
you're still moving power from one person. Even if you
To
change the
next,
formula,
yeah.
No, no, no.
there'll be another person.
You
who
see,
would
for
be-
proof of
And
for
this
proof of
person,
work,
since
for
there's
proof of
no
work, you'd
regulating
need right now because the competition gets harder and harder. You can't have one person solve for the next block or someone to mine.
okay, you guys.
Sorry, the math is.
We are in some class
this
over
is
here.
why I'm just like, when people talk Web3, I'm like, what problem are you solving?
No.
Tell me what problem you're solving.
I still go back to the problem.
Hey, you
People
guys,
say-
because-
NFTs, what problems
okay,
NFTs
it's someone-
solving? That's a good problem.
That's a freaking link
Okay.
to a JPEG, from what I understand.
Okay, let me give you someone. Is someone telling you, okay, having 4 girlfriends is better than one, because when you have one, when
Please
things
use
happen,
another
it's like
example.
that.
That example, I know.
This is another example.
But then you don't know how many problems you'll have with 4. So Web3 is telling you, having one person making a decision is worse than having many people making the decision.
But I think, like, I don't know, like, it depends.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
and that's so my idea was. By doing that, you're simply not doing away with the centralized person. You're just changing the master.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you
You're like,
feel-
we are tired with this one. Let's
go
create
to-
another one.
That's a bit more complicated.
Of course, it is a bit
actually
more
is more
complicated, but
complicated.
on the very high level,
Yeah.
that's the point. And that's like, no, you're not doing away with the centralization. You're just changing who's the centralizer.
Okay.
In
So,
some
guys,
cases,
you guys who are so, like, passionate about Web3, what is the use case in Upper Kenya or Africa?
Elections.
elections, land registry.
Oh, by the way, yeah.
So
yeah.
it will be done in China, from what I'm understanding, because they have the electricity and.
Yeah, so
we could build our own.
Yeah, because election is something we do once in 5 years. It doesn't need to go into China. But what happens currently is, for example, I want to verify a transaction, right?
Yeah.
Right now, the US is sleeping, right? And perhaps China are awake.
Yeah.
So my request has to go to China. And if I put off my servers, let's say somewhere, El Salvador, right? The only availability will be in China. So whoever has more nodes, servers, right, will verify my transactions. So they can decide, okay, we'll start charging for verification of transactions. Or they say like, okay, we'll only verify transactions from Africa. If you don't allow our ships to dock there,
Yeah.
we will not verify your transaction. So you've just given China
power.
the power to control your currency that you're calling decentralized and blah, blah, blah. For elections, we can build a server farm in Kenya, maintained by the ICT ministry. And then it does all the verification, like Form 34A. Did it come from this police station?
Yeah.
Confirm that it is.
And can we
Confirm
trust that, whatever is run by the, ICT ministry? You see that now that's where it
So
comes
the
in.
transparency
Now-
of
Transparency
the
becomes
transparency
an
of this
issue.
thing allows you
Yeah.
to see. Actually, you can even
But
say
there's
forget
someone
Form
said-
34A. We can actually see the votes being tallied in real time.
Yeah.
Yeah, for example.
Yeah.
Or
Or as people vote. you
Yeah,
just-
As we did, as
So
we did,
India, India did that. In Kenya, even if you vote, it's a manual voting. You have to wait for the voters and then you count.
And then now
Yeah.
And there's this very funny story was in the courts. The law says that the presiding officer, whoever he declares the winner, becomes the winner. So this guy votes were tallied well. And then at the point of announcing the winner, he announced number 2 as the winner.
Yeah.
And the law says, the law did not say that it has to tally.
Yeah, you
So
just
I said,
have
I was
announced.
announced the winner,
Yeah.
and that carries the day. So what India did was, once you sign up, you vote. When you put it in the ballot box, it has a camera or something inside the box. It counts the vote. It can also check whatever mark it is. So as you vote,
It's like, oh, that's so cool.
Automatic tallying.
yeah, so it's become automatic. So you can see 5 people voted here, 5, and you can see how it goes. So the voting itself is not digitized, but the counting
It is.
So, but can that
digitized.
counting be, what is it called? Can it be corrupted, basically? So, like, it can count, you see, if they are red and green, let's say, candidate
So of
A
course-
and B.
so of
So,
course I'm
definitely,
sure they have.
you cannot be sure about that as well.
So I'm sure that's
anything.
the technology bit. Now
Yeah.
you put the system to test.
Okay.
And then
Maybe
get-
you make the portraits bigger because India is a very big. Think about 1 billion people voting. It will take a whole month counting those votes.
So elections is one use case for
Elections.
Web3.
Yes,
Okay.
land registries. How many people own this piece of land?
Oh.
Yeah.
So we know we have land problems in Kenya, land
Yeah.
grabbing, so on and so forth. So one of the things you like to know, for example, if I want to buy this plot here, how many people have owned it? What's the history of this land? So for a country like Kenya, where land is a very big, land grabbing is a big
It's
issue,
a big issue.
you need that track record.
Yeah.
And because blockchain technology allows for keeping that ledger and it's verified. So if you say you're the owner of this piece of land, 6 other people have verified that you're actually the owner of this land.
Why are 6 other people
Minimum 6 people.
But which other 6 people are verifying it?
Yeah, that's the thing I was talking
So
about.
it's the math. It's the whole math.
Anyone in the
can do
blockchain
it.
network.
No. So, no.
But you see, like right now, we actually have the
So no,
centralized
that's
system.
different.
The
That's-
land
that's
registry
proof of
actually does
stake.
that
That's
already.
proof of
Oh
stake.
God, we're back
That's
to
on.
proof of this and
Yeah,
proof of
that's-
that.
Say it in
proof
the,
of-
in the
Again, 5-year-old
All right,
guys.
the person with the most oranges gets to decide who's
Is that
orange
correct?
Oh.
joins the group.
a very
See,
good,
I'm just rich. Like, I just need to get enough oranges. That's
Yeah,
all I need
that's
to do.
proof of
Make
stake.
decisions and give my friend Chris.
That's proof of stake.
Yeah.
But that's proof of stake.
Okay.
Proof of work is different. Proof of work is someone has to dig a hole. A person who's dug the hole then is on decides what oranges go into that hole. Maybe you're fermenting the oranges. So
So
I'm
what
bad at this
if-
analogy.
What if the person who owns the oranges or dug the hole are
Why are you digging
corrupt
a hole to
people
put your
then?
oranges?
Yeah.
Okay, the person
but
who
the
digs
person who
the person
dug
who
the hole is corrupt.
the person who
For
starts
example.
the fire decides what gets cooked.
Okay, got you.
Yeah,
So
that's proof of work.
proof of work.
So it doesn't have to be one person. It's what group of you can all 30 nodes can decide. 30 people can decide we'll start a fire. Another 20 over there can decide we'll start a fire. Another 1 will decide to start a fire alone. Whoever who finishes that mathematical computation
Wins.
wins, starts the fire, gets a reward for starting
Sounds
the
like
fire.
a game. It sounds like you need to be very strategical
Yeah.
and like
You need to have very powerful devices.
Yeah,
you
like
need to
it's just-
work with other groups sometimes, because the closer you get to the final number that you can mine, the harder it gets.
no wonder he's into these things. I get it now.
Yeah.
I think I do.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, election and land.
Okay.
Or
Yes,
any other place.
yes, we do have like the land registry actually verifies historical ownership. But now we have an Ardhisasa system that we are really struggling to get it up, yeah? So it's there, but it's not working. So we actually have like for Nairobi area, for example, they've tried to to digitize basically all the titles, and we have these new titles where basically if you want to transfer, anyone can do it basically, like an owner, you don't need a lawyer. So basically, okay, my job will soon be, but we do have that system being implemented.
But
in
it's not
Ghana.
built on Web3.
No.
I'm not sure
It's
what
not.
Web3 is. So these guys haven't done a good job to
orange.
describe it.
The
but
oranges.
According
It's
to
not
what
the
they are
proof
trying
of
to
work.
say, I think it is the
Sorry,
same
sorry.
thing. I think it's the same thing.
Web 3 is a way of decentralizing and allowing everyone to own a piece of everything.
So
And it sits,
actually-
the underlying technology
Yeah.
is blockchain and all these other distributed ledger technologies.
Yeah.
They are the building blocks of Web 3.
So then I
But
think,
like
Ardhisasa would,
there's
that
a
actually
friend,
be
I think
categorized
it's
under that.
Nigeria. She said you cannot come away from corruption using technology.
Yeah, you can't. Like
So-
you're not fixing the root
So
cause of the
technolo-
problem.
the
Yeah.
Technology will never.
Never ever.
It can assist. It can help.
Yeah.
It can guide, but it can never. If you're corrupted to the core, someone will
The
find a
system
way
will
around
be-
Web3.
Yeah, I thought you guys say garbage in, garbage out. So whatever
Yeah.
you put in
Yeah.
the system will
Yeah.
still reflect.
So someone will figure out. So if it is centralized, then I'll make sure my cousins, sisters,
Yeah,
brothers
exactly.
are the decentralized.
Exactly.
Exactly. The people who are
Otherwise-
controlling the
Yeah,
the
so
back end. Of
Yeah,
it.
you can't do takeovers. For example, looking at Ethereum split. There's the
Yeah.
classic Ethereum and there's now the old Ethereum, which is classic Ethereum, and the current Ethereum. It's because people could not agree on a consensus on the way forward. So you split into two new channels. So there's always the risk of a hostile, what do you call it, a hostile
Hostile
takeover, where enough of the nodes agree. Let's change this whole thing.
yeah, it's like in a mafia movie where if I the Italian guy, these two crime families, you have to take out that guy. yeah. So even in a distributed system, you'll have a clique that goes rogue and decides we're gonna do this. So it helps. It doesn't eliminate the problems.
It helps us a little bit.
We
Okay.
need better math. Proof of prime wasn't the
Hey,
best.
now proof of prime. That's a new one.
It's chasing certain unique prime numbers, trying to compute the next from a certain mathematical computation. If you can find one that is, I want to say human proof, but since humans are making it, I don't think you can make human
Maybe
proof.
once we go to Mars, then
Elon Musk will give us
crypto
something.
will be the currency.
In Mars.
In Mars.
I don't want to go to Mars, but you guys have fun if you're going.
The Mars is great, you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because everyone can be given like 1 billion hectares to live in.
You can
An
be-
eighth,
you-
an eighth. No, an eighth, an eighth.
you can be self-sufficient in your own.
Knowing Kenyans will get there, divided by eighth, where you're saying, and sell to the newcomers.
The aliens.
The Kenyans will get there first.
So I guess is that it that you guys want to talk about Web3? When you talked about like use cases, I do
Yeah.
still kind of get it, but it sounds like they can still, something can still go wrong.
There's still
Yeah,
loopholes
but I
in
think
the
the
system.
Everything
the
will-
problem
Yeah.
is being oversold. It's a
Yeah,
piece of
okay,
technology, just like a mobile
Okay,
phone.
got you. Yeah.
It has advantages.
It's not gonna fix all your issues. Yeah.
Yeah, but people are like, oh my god, if you drink Web3 juice, your mind is blown. And the overselling you're talking about. So I think the technology has been oversold, and now we think it can solve everything.
But it can't.
It's like it's that episode in Dexter a long time ago. What was it called?
Dexter, which
Dexter
one? The cartoon?
Laboratory.
The
Dexter's
cartoon.
Laboratory.
Yeah.
It was called.
The name of the episode.
No, I'm trying to
Oh,
think about
Jojo,
the phrase.
okay, I
no,
don't know
no,
whatever.
no. Where that he was being asked something and he just used to repeat the same thing. Something fromage.
On reduce fromage.
Do fromage. Then he's right. Then he complex calculation. Or
Omelette
du fromage.
fromage.
Omelette du fromage.
Yeah.
Omelette made with cheese. Omelette du fromage. And he used to get everything correct. So that's the thing. I want to fix your roads, Web3. You want to fix your marriage, Web3. So that's
It's our silver bullet. It's not a silver
Okay,
bullet.
I guess the next big buzzword, and something at least I get AI, is artificial intelligence. That is something legit I'm kind of like very afraid of.
why?
No, don't be.
It's like, first of all, there are no ethics around it. I'm pretty sure
There are no
like
ethics around humans. Humans are the worst at
No, but
morality and ethics. We can't build
No, what you-
perfect,
I'm
and we're not
But we were
perfect.
here first. So.
Yeah.
We were here first. We
We
can't
were here
build
first.
perfect. So why are we expecting AI to be perfect?
So explain this ethics thing. Where are the ethics missing?
I mean, like with everything, like just asking it, like you don't know first of all who's feeding them this information.
Yeah.
They can be biases, and you know they can be biases with this.
Just
thing.
like life, we all have biases.
Yeah. We can't be.
AI is
We are
a
not
tool.
perfect, so we
There's a
can't
very
make
good
it.
But
analogy.
how do
Okay.
people know? Like
Someone
people who are
said-
consuming it, how do they know? It's like I think you also
Okay.
need a.
Yeah, I can
so-
give you an example.
Yeah.
There's on TikTok basically. There's this guy who's using AI basically to imitate. It's a white man using I think an AI generated whatever. Avatar basically. Actually, it's an avatar, a black woman, and he's benefiting. He's using it to,
Oh my God.
commercializing whatever his business is, his products, and he's acting as an African woman basically. And this is a white man, and he's been able to.
Anti-whiteness.
No, I'm just giving an example. That's an
Okay.
example, yeah.
You don't think there's
Ask me
anything
about the
ethical
ethics.
wrong with that?
I've asked about ethics.
I have an answer.
Ethics.
I have an
Give an
answer.
answer.
It's brewing here.
Tell us your answer. Bring it.
Every day, people wake up, make bigger, sharper knives, stronger knives. Someone will use
Do
that
they?
knife
I
to
mean-
make a proper dinner someone used that knife to stab somebody. Do we stop making knives?
No.
It's the same thing with the AI. It should be used for good with some people. It should be used for worse by other people. It doesn't make it wrong.
So and you don't feel like it could take away some people's jobs? That doesn't, for you, think.
Safeguards
Luddite syndrome.
before
When the Industrial Revolution hit UK, and the Luddites were like, okay, they were young, pulling people. And then now machine would come and do it. They hated the machines. They went and burnt the whole machines.
Yeah.
Even in Kenya, the tea farms in Kericho introduced a tea picking machine.
Yeah.
And the locals were like, hey, we're about to lose our jobs. There's
Yeah.
a woman there who has picked tea for 30 years.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, they want to replace 300 women
With,
with 5 people with machines. And even the governor intervened and said, tea will be picked by hand here.
Yeah.
One thing that you always know, they'll always come up something that can take away your job. So it's for you to upskill, diversify, or do something else.
And
Or
before it
try
takes,
to-
before
or
it takes
try
your
to
job,
benefit,
AI right
yeah.
now, before, because you see, we are again in the hype thing, what you're saying.
Yeah.
You see, for example, the hype around ChatGPT.
Yeah.
ChatGPT is not a very smart AI in terms of intelligence as a human. It's
But
a
also
very
like
good language model.
Yeah.
So it knows English well enough to figure out, because what it does is, with its form of how ChatGPT works, it has an encoder. Sorry, too technical.
It's
We'll
okay.
skip that part.
Your mansplaining, that's what ChatGPT is.
No.
Again, continue. Keep going.
Anyway, so ChatGPT.
You can say that you're a technical expert, so
Yeah.
as a technical expert,
As a
not
technical.
as a mansplainer, has an encoder and a decoder. The encoder decides the weight of various, like this bunch of words, this phrase. The decoder figures out what is the next probability. What should follow this phrase, what should follow that. So when it reads through whatever its training data, it's able to figure out, this was the question, what's the weight of that question? All right, where can I find something that's supposed to complement this? It gets those answers. And because it's a good language model, it can give you a rubbish answer that sounds right.
Thank you very much.
So
def-
it's
you are-
only it's a sweet talker.
yeah.
It's a sweet talker.
Smooth operator.
It's a smooth
It's a man.
operator. And
ChatGPT
you
is
see,
a man.
Is ChatGPT a man or a woman?
I think it's a man.
God.
Definitely.
Interesting.
if I had to give it an avatar, I'd give it a female avatar.
Okay.
No way.
Who bullshits a lot?
Which female will you find bullshitting, right? Like saying, oh, no, that's mansplaining.
Giving an answer that's almost the truth, yeah? But what I'm hearing is that there's always a human element to it. So if
Yeah.
you're able to use chat to your benefit,
Yeah.
for example, we would be asking the same question, but there's a way I could ask chat to give me this answer. There's a way you'd rephrase your
Yeah,
rephrase your answer,
yeah.
your question,
It
and
will
mine
give.
would have a more,
Let me-
a better answer than yours,
Yeah.
yeah?
Let me give you a classical example which you
Yeah.
can easily test on ChatGPT. Tell it a story about how you would, like what you would do once you see it raining and you're trying to leave the door. So
When?
it's raining outside,
Ah.
you're about to leave the house, you tell ChatGPT, like you're giving it a narrative, and like this guy put on his shoes. He had put on some gumboots because it was raining. 2 days later, visit ChatGPT and ask it, what should you wear before you leave the house when it's raining? It's going to tell you gumboots. You who's never given it that story, it's going to tell it a raincoat, because in that context, the initial context for the raincoat has more weight as an immediate response to that phrase. But now you've told it, this guy wears put on his gumboots. So it's speaking, okay, you told me gumboots is right. So you can actually lie to it, you can misinform it, and it can misinform you back. Remember, it's just a
I had an
talker.
experience.
So, wait,
So-
don't you think there's something wrong with that?
No. It's very good at like fast research and like condensing information for you.
Yeah.
That's why it can't replace anyone's job. It can just make your work.
And it actually gives
faster.
you a disclaimer. Please note that this is, okay, for a lawyer, for example, it gives you a disclaimer. Please make sure you verify this information using whatever regulations or whichever lawyer, whatever.
I had an
so it-
experience. So there is this website known as the Good Judgment Project by this guy known as Philip Tetlock. It's used to predict world events. So you can go there, then you ask, for example, will Putin die in the next 12 months? And then people put in their probabilities, and then they average that, and then say, like, this is what the crowd thinks about these events. Then I was like, maybe ChatGPT can think for me. So I went and asked, there was a question about Putin, the war in Ukraine ending. So they asked, will the war in Ukraine end in this day? Then my argument was, if Putin dies, the war will end. So I'd rather predict if Putin will die. So I went to ChatGPT
It
and,
won't.
and like, when is Putin likely to die?
We can't do
We
that.
can't do that. It is wrong to anticipate the death of somebody.
Yeah.
What?
And,
It actually said that?
Yeah.
it gave me the
it can't.
response.
Yeah.
Like, it's wrong to anticipate the death of somebody. I'm like, but a lot of things which are anchored upon them.
Yeah, but then
They
also
don't-
remember ChatGPT, even if you remove that restriction for it not to give you that answer, the answer it will give is incorrect. It's a language model, not a mathematical model.
Yeah, so
I actually asked it to do some mathematics for me once.
Yeah.
It was like, no please, no thanks. These are the formulas you need. Go do the work yourself. It's even
So
just
it's also not creative.
It's a
ChatGPT
programming
is not
language.
creative, but there are other
ChatGPT
AIs that are
Yeah.
pretty, like they can do art for you. They can do like
Midjourney,
like
Dali,
yeah, exactly.
Valley.
There's
Yeah,
somewhere you're just like, whoa, this
My
is
take
scary.
is this: if your job is being taken away by ChatGPT, it's a job that would have been taken away anyway by anything. That's true.
Okay,
See, basically,
ChatGPT
it's an
taken away.
enhanced Google, basically. That's what I feel
No,
chat
actually,
is.
I
It's
prefer,
a
I
research.
prefer
It's good
Google
for
than
research.
Chat
It's good for research.
GPT.
Oh, really?
Because
To be very
Google
careful.
gives me the source of information, which is very important.
ChatGPT gives you now if you go and use it on Bing.
Okay.
Or it
Why
gives you
would I use
It
Bing?
gives you the
That's the selling
citation
point
and all
of
that. It
Bing.
gives you citation.
Yeah, ChatGPT will give you the citations of where it's gotten its data from. That's the new. That's why everyone is like, oh my god,
I see how they're
ChatGPT and Microsoft. This whole thing, Bing is. We're gonna say just Bing it. We're no longer say don't Google it. But the problem is, websites are built for advertisers
Yeah.
and for
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
to push
But
traffic.
when I'm doing a summary or analysis, I assign different weights to different sources. For
Yeah.
example, if a source of information comes from a government website, you tend to give it a
To put
higher.
it higher. Yeah.
But if it's someone's blog, right? So if ChatGPT doesn't show me where it got this answer from,
Information from.
then it's less valuable
Yeah,
to me.
just Bing it.
I'll try to
Give it a try.
to bang it.
So you guys, from what I'm hearing, you guys you're not really afraid of AI.
Not yet. Not yet.
No,
Not
really.
yet. So
Not
some-
yet.
Not really, unless I'm thinking about the Boston Dynamic dogs.
Even
Oh,
those.
yeah.
You've seen those dogs?
Yeah,
Yeah.
them, yeah.
Yeah, right now I think they're being loaded with guns.
Oh, what? I know
Like,
people who are buying
Americans,
them
why are they
for-
Yeah.
loading them with guns?
You'd
because
say,
now it's cheaper to send that robot than a human life.
Then
Yeah.
say
Do you
they
think
just
don't you think it's moral?
say they're
It's a
trained-
moral
I think even
obligation not to
Amazon
kill
is
people.
using them and all that.
they'll
Yeah.
be trained to kill black people. All black people were killed by
They are
Boston.
programmed. If you see any
Anything.
dark skin, melanin,
And I think I might be wrong, or I saw something that U.S. Army was doing trials on those dogs and
I
how they
would
can.
not be surprised.
The-
I would actually believe
what
it.
But that,
they
you
are
see, that's
combat
the future of
effectiveness.
warfare
I
is
mean,
going
like-
there. We can't always just say wars should be solved by a million people dying.
So what the wars would be like: send your AI, I send my AI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Let the AIs fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about it.
It could
If
be
you-
more
if you're
catastrophic,
asked
of
by
course,
A
still.
company
Yeah.
to write a cover letter. Then you go to ChatGPT, it writes for your cover letter. Then you send it to the company. Then the company uses an AI software to analyze if your cover letter is good enough. So I like, okay, that's okay. My AI will talk to your AI. And then-
But isn't that what's happening
Talk
right
to
now?
my AI.
yeah, talk to my AI. So like as humans, we don't need to fight. Just send our AIs to to fight.
We could,
But
we could
would
suffer
it-
in the
would
long
you
run
say
because if
the
those
robots
AIs
and
don't
all
have
that-
safeguards, your AI will hack your water system and poison half a country. This other one will hack your nuclear codes and then detonate your missiles while they're still within
Those are
your
the
country.
ethics we were talking about,
Yeah, those-
you guys.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
no, AI
See,
for
no, no, no.
good.
The
AI for
ethics
good.
is this: the knife. The problem is not
AI
the tool.
for good. It's the humans.
It's
The
humans are the
Whatever
problem.
next we invent next, I don't know what it would be. There are some people who use it for good, other people who use it for the wrong thing. So do
Yeah.
you vilify that thing? No. You go and correct the human. You put them in jail. you do other things, but you don't kill that technology.
Yeah.
Anything that will happen in this world, I don't care. I'm sure when phones came up, the first users were probably people addicted to porn who just wanted to watch.
You
Auntie
know, or
what?
like,
Yeah, like one of the funny things is like porn has been the greatest tool that has enabled the uptake of technologies. So,
True.
so do you kill phones because people are using them to watch porn?
No.
Yeah, the same thing with AI.
Yeah.
You don't kill AI or manage it. You look at the humans. The humans are the ones having the problem. Someone will always be thinking how to misuse something.
Yeah.
That's given. It doesn't matter what it is.
You just need
but you
to
see,
make
the
you
people
just
who are
need to make
supposed
the
to be
abuse
protecting you,
make
the
the
government,
abuse
are the ones who are using it
less-
for
make the
for
abuse
evil,
a bit
actually.
more difficult to do. Because
Yeah, all the consequences
yeah.
of that abuse will
like
be so
if
high.
someone searches how can I make a bomb on ChatGPT, maybe trace them, figure out
You
who
say
they are.
in
and
Google,
see.
it will give you an answer.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, it won't. But don't
Why
you
so?
think because they've been trained to like
Yeah, they've
To
been
be
trained.
very,
I
like-
thought it's even the Kenyan.
Kenyans were used. Yeah.
Of course,
workforce that was-
Kenyans.
yeah.
Yeah,
God
but
bless
think
us
about
all.
it. If you
To
if
regulate.
you search right now how to make a bomb on Google, I'm sure Google will give you some answers or some websites, right?
Yeah.
ChatGPT won't give you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the difference? So ChatGPT is this smart kid.
Censored.
It's a censored kid, and Google is this rogue kid.
Google is giving you
Google
knowledge.
democratizes knowledge.
Yeah.
Whatever you do with it, it's
It's
up to you.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what it's supposed to be.
And it's not even built on Web3.
So
But the AI, the Google
As you
search
say,
engine
you
is
want us
actually
to-
has an AI component at the back.
of course, to
Yeah.
make information relevant.
Yeah.
Right. And ChatGPT is to condense that information and present it in a short, concise manner for your consumption. Right.
Yeah.
So Google believes in democratizing information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then the AIs or the ChatGPT will like, no, we'll only give you the information that we think you should.
You should have the
Yeah,
safe
that you should
information.
Go,
'Cause-
you go and
It
correct
actually
your.
sounds like a government. They're like,
And
okay,
there's a very interesting thing that I read. It was it Maine in the US? I think the state in Maine. So Maine reinstated what do they call it in US? Carry guns, open carry. You
Oh,
can,
yeah,
you
yeah.
can carry a gun. So and of course everyone went crazy, like, oh my God, crime is about to go up. We're going to have more mass shootings. Then the reporter, the investigative reporter, did like a 10 years analysis. I hope I'm right. Of what they call not domestic, property crimes, which include burglaries, rapes in houses, and so. So they realized after Maine had open carries, the number of property crimes went down. The national average is going up, and this is going down. So actually, the act of making guns more available reduced the crime.
Is
while
it more
other
available or rather like
More visible.
visible? Like
okay, visible
transparent, yeah.
means I can carry it.
yeah.
Wherever
Carry,
I
but
go.
you see, people can
I
know.
don't
Hey,
know.
this guy has a gun. Let me not go near them. You
That's
see?
the same thing with the other democratizing information.
Yeah.
Perhaps democratizing information will reduce other things. In our case, because we fear like, oh, you can't search how to make a bomb. It will make more people create bombs.
Yeah.
Perhaps not, because if everyone knows how to make a bomb, like, I'll also make mine. You come with your bomb. I'll come with my bomb. So sometimes we
Yeah.
fear, but actually democratizing information is way better than limiting it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Because can you imagine a situation where we only have chat? Google is now, blocked out to the general population, and everyone is forced to work on chat. And you
Censorship.
can't. No, I'm just giving an example, like in the future, whatever. And we're told, oh, you can only use chat, you can't use Google. So you try to Google certain things, and maybe like certain companies that are trying to develop some secret, weapon or whatever. You can't get that information because they've paid chat. They're like, make sure this information does not come out.
Yeah.
Or even government, they'd be like, make sure this information does not come out.
Yeah,
So,
that censorship
Yeah.
should not exist.
yeah.
Yeah, that's why the Google approach is better. We will give you the information.
Anyway, I love Go.
Do with it as you please.
As you please, yeah.
That's
Is that a paid
the
ad?
consequences are on your side, because there's some companies or some countries are Googling and they're doing great things. People
Yeah.
are DIY projects.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And to you, you're learning how to become a terrorist. So, so if
Should be building a juice bar, but you're out there trying to figure
To
out
become a
between
terrorist.
potassium and
think about
what we
it.
should
If let's say hypothetically, you have a super Google in Iran, or not Iraq, right? And you have a super Google in the US, you're likely that there will be more radical use of it in Iraq. Nothing that Google introduced. That's how the society is fractured.
Yeah.
So there's already an existing problem. So you can say, oh, this tool is enabling more people become violent.
It's just exposing the
there's
violence.
I
It's
like.
not-
I was watching so many years back Chris Rock's comedies, stand-up comedies, and then all those shootings happening in the U.S. And then every time they happen, someone will come, an expert. Children are more exposed to TV. They're more exposed to violent games,
Yeah.
and all these things are messing up their psyche. So they go kill. Then he asks, like, does it mean before TV people are not going crazy and killing other people? Like, no. Even
But I
before.
think there needs to be a balance, Chris. I do think
There's
like,
a link.
Yeah,
To
there's
some
there's
extent.
some.
For example, let's say there are things that we all agree as a society
Yeah.
that are wrong,
Yeah.
right? Child pornography, murder,
Yeah.
the things we all agree are wrong. So those things that we agree are wrong, they should by all means be kept away, no matter which tool they are. Then the rest,
But you see, what is wrong to you is not wrong to
No,
me.
no, just what I'm saying, there are certain things that we all agree.
Okay, okay.
When there's something that you think is wrong and I think is right,
Because so
Because
morality is individual.
yeah.
Ethics is as a society, you agree. Like
For
that's why you have a
example,
code of ethics
There's
within an organization.
I
There's
don't
no
know
code of
which state
morality.
in the US they want to lower the marriage age to 16.
Yeah. Actually, there are certain states where 16
Yeah.
is the legal.
So people are like, oh,
the-
I'm losing my mind. Like, but
Yeah.
your grandmother was married at 14. Yeah. So that, we will differ on that, and it's okay
Chris.
to differ on that. But there's certain things like, okay, no society in this world would agree that killing somebody is okay.
Yeah, I agree.
So such certain things we agree have to put aside, and those are the things we put out of technology. Then other things, kila mutu to deal with your society problem. So you have societal problems, and instead of dealing with those societal problems, you want to blame technology. And one of the things, technology will exacerbate or expand whatever society is. If you're a peaceful society, technology will prop up and show that, oh, even better. If you're a bad society, for example, nowadays we have social media.
Yeah.
Do you think police in the US were killing less black people when social media wasn't there?
Might have been worse, actually.
It would have been worse,
Yeah.
right?
But yeah, now society just
Now we're just seeing more of it because people have smartphones.
Yeah.
Everyone is recording.
So go fix your societal problems. Don't blame technology.
Yeah.
Technology will always be a knife that can be used for good or bad.
And that's why like you should allow, when you're building AI, build it knowing that you're going to expect biases, then let it work with. You see, when it's working, those like, oh goodness, it's discriminating against black people. Because all data that trained it was discriminating against black people.
yeah.
So let it continue to
But
discriminate so that you can
but
expose the problem.
One of the things
Yeah.
that people say,
Then
like,
train
for
it
example,
again and fix the problem.
ChatGPT
Don't shut it
is
down.
biased against black people,
Is it?
etc.
How did they prove that?
It's because
I've not
it's
seen that.
trained. It's trained by mostly white data. So what do you expect?
That's not a problem of ChatGPT.
That's a problem of the training.
Yeah, but not even for the training,
data.
because
It's a
there
pro-
is no data
Yeah.
about, for example, if you wanted to, for example, you wanted to understand Kiswahili, right? Are we writing enough of Kiswahili things online so that we can have that? No.
Apana.
Your Ministry of Education should be going to universities and prompting people to do more stuff in
Tanzanians are helping us
Kiswahili.
You
to
get
at
extra points if you translate your thesis. into
Actually,
Swahili.
you know, when I was in second year university, Wikipedia came to the university, and we were asked to translate articles in Kiswahili. And for each 5 articles, you were getting some prizes. And if you cross a certain mark, you win some money. No one bothered. People are here hitting keg barrels. Right. So,
Because you're not paying them, why not just
no,
pay
you're
them?
being paid. It's
You're
not
being
direct
paid.
work.
No, you said
First
a
of all,
price.
Wikipedia.
Did you do the
I only
translation?
did like 2,
At least.
and then
Good on you.
then I went and hit my keg. So and then in the US you'll find people who are like, what about? Oh, I like to help my country. I like to help my language. So they put that extra work.
Yeah.
And then they build more data, which now will be used with tools like ChatGPT. Then downstream, oh, Africans are being. It's because your country is not investing enough.
Yeah, we're just executing here. We
don't have the money
we're not
to
thought
invest.
leaders in this
We don't
things,
have the
right?
money to invest.
And exactly, that's so
There's a
true. We
question-
also don't
there's a
have the
question I
resources.
asked
And money is
somebody.
going at
Let's look
elsewhere.
at the past. Let's give it 30 years. Okay? Tell me any law passed in Africa that you know that's so original.
We have some.
No, this is something-
FGM, for example. Is that something they do over there?
That's banning, and it has
No,
always
but
been
that's
banned.
a law. That's
Okay, let's say for
governing
example,
that, yeah.
Spain wants to experiment with 4-day work week. That's a very new thing, right? Our laws are a copy paste, including
But we-
data, because we're not thinkers.
We're broke.
So
We don't have the time to
Yeah.
think of this other like.
Okay,
Then
I'd
like,
say
complain.
we
thinking
have
doesn't cost
then
a
be a
thing.
slave. A slave never complains. When the master
They
talks,
actually did complain. That's why they were able to come out of the thing.
the slave when he complains, they cut a little bit of food and like, okay, here's a little food for you. Now don't complain. Right? But if you need a seat at the table, you have to bring your brains. You have to bring your resources.
You have to be thought leaders.
But they
yeah.
are barring you from the table.
No one is barring
barring
you.
Create your own table.
Yes.
Hey,
Yes.
amen.
The African table.
The only
The
way.
greatest complainers.
For your own bar.
If you go to Twitter, the greatest complainers on Africans, colonialism. Then that
We need to
narrative.
create our walls.
Then it's like, no, IMF. No, World Bank. It's like, I was tweeting
Those
that
are-
most
that's what
countries,
the
if you care to look at history, were colonized. Britain was colonized by the Romans, then they were colonized by France, right? Did they sit down like, oh, we are
But you see,
colonists?
how long did it take them to break the, those
China,
chains or whatever?
in 1980, China was as good as Africa. 20 years.
Necessarily.
Singapore.
The number, they
You-
still
you-
had the numbers.
No. Singapore.
Singapore.
No, you're not
Anyways,
looking for
guys,
If you're looking for
guys.
excuse, you will find one, and there are plenty. Tomorrow, you will not blame colonialism. We'll blame that.
Ruto.
Yes, yes. And,
Stop.
and as people say, and I
Yeah.
like that examples.
Yeah.
Indians came to Kenya, never looked for political power.
Never.
They sat down and built
Businesses. Yeah.
They never ask for anything. But for us, like, I think I'm not a businessman because my father took me to a wrong school.
Eh?
The Indians came here to work as laborers.
No, but there's a reason why Indians in Africa, even right now,
Okay.
generally, they're the benefited race, let's say, compared.
Benefited
No,
race?
I'm saying at that point, and the reason why, at that point, the reason.
Lord Jesus Christ.
No, at
come
the
and
point,
take
at
me
the
today.
point after the white people left, since
Actually,
you keep on saying colonial. Okay, we
Okay,
cannot
let me tell you.
blame
Let me tell you.
colonialism, right?
One of my.
After colonialists left,
no,
who-
let me tell you
who
what
became-
happened. Let me
who
tell you
became-
what happened after that.
Yeah.
A good number of Indians, remember after Idi Amin threatened
Yeah.
them? Okay, so one thing that most people don't know, there was a law that was passed, championed by Tom Mboya in 1960s, which barred Indians, first of all, from reserves. So if an Indian could not own a shop, let's say in Gudunguri, they could only do it in urban areas, Nairobi, Mombasa, Kisumu. Second, there were certain trades that were being reserved for the black Africans. So by that time, they become disenfranchised. That's why they're like, okay, we can only sell spare parts. We can open a bookshop within a certain area. So when the colonial government came to an end, in fact, they were the losers. They were on the losing end. Because in Kenya, they were barred from certain criteria. But did they complain? No, they're like, okay, what has been handed over to us, we will make lemonade. But what the African did? Let's blame a colonialist who left 60 years ago.
But I think sometimes, Chris, you don't understand that there's like a lot of like trauma and history
No.
and
Did you experience
biases.
colonialism? Did you experience colonialism?
no, but I
Did
am
your
a
parents-
product of my parents who experienced
Obviously,
colonialism,
So-
and even their mindsets and their thinking
Nah,
are
that-
put on
no,
to
no,
me
no,
like
no,
It's like
no, no,
slavery
we-
at the same
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
We can't.
You can't say
we can't.
because you did not
This is-
experience
this is-
Anyway,
yourself.
can we just?
This is excuse. Wake up, build your thing.
But we are building. But Chris, it's harder for me as a black
And-
woman. Like if
So what?
Trying-
Work 10 times harder.
But it's
That is life.
annoying, don't you think? Like
So what? So what? You want it
That's
to be
what we're
handed to you
doing.
for
That's
free.
what we're doing.
You want it
We're
handed to you for
working
free.
100 times harder.
Yeah, you have to work
We are
a
doing
billion
that.
times harder because
Yeah.
the other guy has government backing. He has cheap loans, but you don't. Life is just like that. Don't look for the easy route.
Okay, hey, let's conclude. Awesome. As we close, the conversation was getting hot over there. And any like parting shots on this discussion? I'll start with you, Michelle.
Thanks. Yeah, so I think AI, Africa needs to build its own AI using our own data. So first step, let's digitize our data so that we can train our own AI in Africa for African solutions. Web3, I don't think Web3 is, yeah, it will solve solutions. We have other problems. You can't just pick a solution out there and try to fit it to a problem. So I think Web3, we don't need it yet as Africa. It has some use cases. We have bigger problems to solve, in my opinion.
We can just pray. And the problems will go away.
Wednesday prayers.
Cryptocurrencies, one day there will be. I think currencies have changed. We moved from cowrie shells to cash, moved from cash to digital currencies that are backed by the cash, that the cash is backed by nothing. Eventually we'll move into some form of crypto. We'll get it right at some point. It's an experiment. We're getting wrong. We'll learn along the way.
Cool.
But AI should be our first priority.
Yeah, I should be the first.
Yeah.
Okay, on my end, I would say on the AI side, I think there's always a human element to everything that is being created. But for cryptos and the blockchain technology and all that, I still believe there should be some form of regulation. I know you guys would be up all in blaze, but like I believe regulation is still important to some extent. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Tell us.
Yeah, I think we should even been worrying about AI.
We shouldn't worry, okay?
Yeah,
Anyways,
about
your
it.
parting shot.
I think we still have, like, digitization is a very big problem. We still have a lot of manual records, manual processes. So we should figure out how to bring as many things as possible online. Then when that happens, then we'll start collecting a lot of information. And then now we can layer AI on top of it. AI without data is like car without fuel. It won't go anywhere. So we should focus on building that data. For Web3, I don't trust technology, I trust people, right? So no matter how many layers of decentralizations are put in there, mathematical formula, I don't think it'll solve our problems. We just need to hammer people in the head until they become correct in their mind.
Awesome. Those are lovely parting shots. I think for mine is like, I just don't know. Sometimes if you guys can't explain to me things very simply, like as you said, I'm like, nah, I'm out. If I see like crowds going for something, I'm out. If I don't understand it, I'm like, if I really, really do need to understand it, and I always come back to what problem is it solving, and then like use technology and the people that will help. But for now, I'm just like watching from the sidelines. And yeah. I hope you found the conversation and discussion interesting. Please make sure to leave a comment, subscribe, and thanks for listening. Kwaheri.
Booyaka! Je, kama kama dawa.
It's not recording. It's not recording.
Is it recording?
What else was in your drink?
I asked you should spike the drink.
Okay.
I still on.